Good morning to everybody. My name is Lukas Bichler. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you. I would like to tell you about how the School of Engineering at the University of British Columbia is responding to these new trends and the new disruptive technologies that we have heard about this morning. I don't have a cell phone to keep my timing. I have an old-fashioned analog watch, so if I'm running a little bit late, please excuse me. I would like to start off by saying that, of course, many people know UBC. We have the other campus in Vancouver. I am from the fun campus in Kelowna. In Kelowna, we have about seven and a half undergraduate students. In Vancouver, it's close to 50,000. In Vancouver, there is some 20% of the population of the student body are international students, so it has truly become an international destination institution. In Kelowna, we have a lot of our own local kids, as well as kids from Alberta and Ontario, so our population of internationals is around 10%, and it stays around this level. The history of the School of Engineering is quite unique. The School of Engineering was created because there was a demand in the local community to have kids who understand the region, they go to school, and they stay in the region. What has been happening in the past was that kids would go to University of Alberta, U of T, McGill, McMaster, but they would never come back. And so we have seen this as a great opportunity to do something a little bit different. And so back in 2006, when the school was created, we had 56 students and 3 faculty members. Today, we have almost 1,200 undergraduate students, some 50 faculty members, and it's a very vibrant and very dynamic space. The one thing that you probably may notice is that in every engineering school there is an engineering program called mechanical engineering, civil, or electrical, or computer science. In our school we decided we don't want to follow what everybody else is doing, so we're going to create the School of Engineering. And within the school we will have programs, so we still do have specializations. But as you will see later on in my slides, we do things a little bit different. So we have civil, electrical, and mechanical. A typical undergraduate student wants to join us because they want to make big money. That's one of the big questions that we ask first-year students, why did you come here? And they say, I want to have a good job that pays decent money. And so this is the typical path that if no matter which university you pick, the student will follow. They start with grade 12, do their undergrad, maybe go to grad school, but then eventually become professional engineers or PEngers. That's common for all the universities. What we are trying to do is to give them an exposure and opportunity in terms of community-based learning, co-ops, as well as international experience. And I'll give you a few examples of how we do that. When we speak to the industry people who come to us in consultations when we develop new programs, they understand that the Canadian government and the profession, the engineering profession, is regulated. So no matter if you go to U of T, you go to McGill or Vancouver, UBC, you will learn the same set of equations. But there are a few other things that we need to teach our kids. And these are some of the highlights that came from our skills training, strategic planning. One of them, for example, being curiosity. And this is very, I would say, very tricky to teach kids. Because if you look back to preschool, elementary school, we always tell kids, go out there, play in the playground, do silly things, be curious, ask questions. But the moment they get into university, we say, enough of that, here's a textbook, go and learn from a textbook, and now this is how you do it. And so we're trying to tell them, yes, the textbooks are there, but there is also something different, and you will see a few examples of that. The big question is, does it work? And it seems to be working. And so back in 2005 and 6, as I said, we had around 100 students. Today, we are getting students through the general admission process, through college transfers. So we have many fantastic bridge programs where students actually transfer from colleges. And we are developing new programs as well. And so, as I said, now we're close to 1,300 students. The very unique features that we are trying to give, or opportunities that we're trying to give to our students, is that because we are a school of engineering, not a program by program engineering, then the students actually have 2 common years. So our first and second year students, they don't know if they're going to be civil, electrical, or mechanical, but they have to learn from each other, and they know quite a bit cross-disciplinary knowledge. We do a tremendous amount of work in problem and project-based learning, so everything is driven by real-world applications. We try to immerse students in this. We are now starting minors in management and entrepreneurship, and this is fairly unique for engineering students to be involved in. But essentially, we're telling them, you need to know about money and you need to know about the bottom line, what's driving businesses. So here are a few examples. The moment students join from high schools, they actually start by looking into sustainable engineering design. So this is a first-year course that we teach students how to look into the entire life cycle analysis of a project. In the second year, they actually start focusing on the design, because by this point they know more about equations and about the fundamental scientific concepts. In third year, when they actually go into their certain disciplines, they have in each course a project which is very thematic or very specific to that course. And the highlight of their education is something called the capstone project, which is basically a period where we open up the school to the community, and companies submit their projects, essentially R&D ideas which they don't have the time to deal with, but we essentially pair up civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical, as well as a management student, put them into a single group and assign them this project. And so these projects have been very successful. We are now going in new directions as well. We are starting so-called design and manufacturing engineering program, which is done jointly with Vancouver. We are starting software engineering together with the Faculty of Sciences, and hopefully biomedical engineering as well. When I said that we try to expose our students to the outside world, we have a fantastic program, so-called Coordinated International Experience, and we send students to Paris, to Copenhagen in Denmark, to Lausanne in Switzerland, to Glasgow, Imperial College in London. And the idea here is show kids what people in overseas or in other institutions are doing and bring it back to the local region. And as I mentioned, we have industry-sponsored programs, co-ops, and that's fairly standard. Why are we doing this? We talk about workforce in this session today. The median entry level for engineers is about close to 60K, which is not bad. And many kids do want to take advantage of this. When you look at British Columbia per capita is producing the least number of engineers in all of Canada. So there is a huge gap, and it's estimated that about 95,000 jobs will be available within the next 5 to 10 years. So this is a very significant gap that we are trying to respond to and to see if we can contribute. We talk about money. As a university, we get a lot of money from the government, but we also do reach out to companies, and they are willing to support our research. And so there is millions of dollars in infrastructure, in operating funding, which we are able to secure and then train our students within that environment. So I know that I'm running out of time, but I want to show you a couple of success stories. And these are students from my research area, which is in metal casting and powder metallurgy. So if you ask me, my students, they have their hands dirty every single day. So clean tech and clean environment is important, but of course, it's one thing to be able to work with your hands. Michelle, she was my master's student. The title up top is the subject of her research. It sounds very fancy. She's essentially worked on developing new materials for automotive applications. Michelle works at Tech as process engineer. Tech, as far as I know, she is not, or they are not making engine blocks for cars. However, the training that we gave her was about problem solving. How do you take a concept where it's something that you're not familiar with and you try to make iterations and make something better? Michelle was a University of Calgary graduate. She did several government lab placements, and when you have a resume with these kinds of pieces or experiences, that was really easy for her to find a job. I want to show you one more student, Audrey. She was the basketball champion on our campus. Fantastic student. She did work on making new ceramic materials for nuclear reactors. Wonderful work. How on earth does a basketball student start doing work for nuclear industry? Well, she actually started as a summer student after her second year of undergraduate studies. She did work projects with me. She ended up receiving the Women in Engineering Scholarship. After she was done with graduation, she moved to Vancouver. She was an entrepreneur, and now she's a project engineer at IFD in Vancouver. The very last student that I want to show you is Karen, who was an international student from Mexico with a full scholarship. She could have gone to MIT and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars with that scholarship. For those who may not know, Mexico City, which is where Karen came from, is about 10 million population. Right now, Karen works at Caribou Pulp and Paper in Cornell, which is 10,000 population. Karen, she did her studies in our school, much like Audrey. She did work projects with me after second year of studies. She went for a research internship in Spain, and now she is a very successful bioproducts engineer in a very small community. And when I asked her, why on earth would you go and work in such a small place? She says, it doesn't matter where I work. I like the people that I work with, and I like my job. And it doesn't matter if it's in a 10 million or a 10,000 city. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.